Good evening, folks. Welcome to another session from the Wise Asylum. Oh, so just put a bit of history together tonight because obviously my head's been in for this court case for tomorrow, so I didn't want to do too much thinking outside of that. So just put some interesting data, by the way. Anyway, it's not without some kind of volume, but just a nice, gentle chill tonight. Nothing exciting. I've been watching and playing with all the stats on these last few videos this week. Ridiculous, honestly. But the good news, of course, is it means that a lot more people have seen it than they want you to know. So that's good. I don't mind about that. Thanks for your donations, chaps. We're up to 300 quid for the microphone, so we're getting there. Almost there, chaps and chapesses. So well done, you, and thank you very much. It's very well appreciated, I have to say. It would be nice to get that together, so yeah, excellent, thank you. Mystery, but yeah, Baron Trump. There's a bit more going on than meets the eye, I have to say. Even I was surprised to find some of the stuff that we'll have a look at tonight. I didn't realise that they were actually pushing him in the US as this let's change the constitution and put Baron Trump in. I mean, come on, how strange is this? It gets stranger by the minute, but of course, if you're an American, you're just focused to what Trump's actually doing. That's pretty good. So it's keep everybody fixed at that. Don't let them see this. Don't let them see that, you know. And you've got this Jimmy Savile's vagina really shoving in this new banking system under the Palavicini called Islam. Wow, I mean, it's just so pathetically obvious. And yet, I can't understand how Muslims are not seeing it. You know, it's like, he's sucking the shit out of Netanyahu and all the Israel massive is the Jimmy Savile's vagina. And yet the Muslims still believe that for somehow he's on their side. Now, I don't get it. Now, what's going on there? Is it just emotional excitement because they think they're taking over the world? I think that's pretty much where they're at, to be honest, and they're not seeing the game, they're blind to it, which is why it's the third business plan to be created. It's the youngest, and I think these religions only have a set period of time where they have sway before they have to knock all things off, reset, start again. They can lengthen its time. And of course, here in the West, we've all seen through, not the morality of the religion, mind you, I don't know about some of these fruit bats out there, they do seem to have lost the morality of it, but, you know, we've seen through the fact that these religions are just control systems. It's just about money, it's about power, it's about influence, and it's been easy to let it go in a big respect, but, I mean, the Jews, well, it's not a religion, it's a fucking business plan. It's a business plan that puts them at CEO level. That's why that one never dies. It's pretty simple, really. And then you've got the youngest one, Islam, which is just a foot soldier, the working man, the man that has no sense outside of what he's told to do. It's pretty simple. Christianity, you could say, we're put in a position for the middle class, the middleman. You know, pretty chilled out. Well, yeah, give me some money and I'll do that. I'm alright. The middle class has been dissolved because, of course, Christianity is on its arse, and the middle class is getting snotted all over the show. So that's interesting. But this Stormer, just watching this Jimmy Savile's vagina. I can't believe that people are still not seeing right through him. And then of course you've got this bigger build up all the time that's coming on, ready for Tommy the Tit to be released from his place in Tenerife, of course. So that Trump and Musk and all the little rats over there that are the billionaire apostles can get stuck in. Ray, Tommy, you're fantastic. To create that 7% of numpties that are going to start causing a bit of civil unrest. And Stormer's making sure that happens by they put every time you look at a new face in some kind of position of power, it's a foreign face. So they're building it up ready for this, unleashing everybody under Tommy, or Stephen Laxley, as he's called, just to create that civil unrest enough for all these shitbags that are in these hotels while you've been focused to these little boats. You know, the guys have been coming in on aeroplanes, you know, thousands a day. UN troops, NATO controlled. They just need that civil unrest there. They're struggling to get Gen Z to recruit. They're not interested in going to fight wars. They're more interested in lips don't make up and whatever else they're into. But there's still a major drive going on here to conscript the white males. I really hope people are starting to realise that, and that's playing a big part in it as why white males are no longer considering jumping in to the Israeli army, as it were. Because, of course, the game is to get them out of the nation so that they can get at them, the white birds with big fat lips and big fat asses. I mean, it's like strange as well. And I thought another thing as well, obviously, just giving a bit of thought to what the hell's going on the television with this. Every single advert, every single soap opera has got its token black guy and a white female. And we sort of explored the backline script, which of course is to form these babies that they're after for this reset for the foundlings and all that malarkey, which is what they do every time they do a reset. They're only after the kids. And we referenced the Kalergi plan for that, Richard Kudanov-Kalergi, who made it quite clear what their intention is for what the future race will be after the annihilation of Christianity, or Zionist Christianity, and political Islam. So we've explored that, but then I can see again here, looking at this, and because I've got my feet on the ground, and the word on the street from black people, mainly here, is they're not very, I feel, comfortable with Islam, because I think a lot of them can reference the fact that Islam's still enslaving black men by the million, and in Africa, forcing black kids, to become part of these militias and these militaries, who, by the way, they've been flooding this place with these damaged and broken kids for quite some time. So the black guys are not stupid. They're seeing that things are just not quite right. They're not impressed with this rise of this new bank called the mosque. But as we said last week, I said, didn't I, that if you actually look at the plan that's being played out here, it's the art of war to a T. Weaken your opposition to a point that they're just useless when you decide you've got the balls to attack. That's playing out. And I thought to myself, well, a big part of that as well would be to ensure that the black community and the white community don't come together. Or, because I'd say majority of people are already together, but that they're trying to create this animosity between the two. So this is why you see a lot of mouthy black women up there giving it large, especially in America, slagging off white honkies and all that stuff. You can see that's a script. It's a serious script that's playing out. And they're just trying to put this wedge between the blacks and the whites. Because, the British military has a lot of black people in it, so does the American military. Because we're pretty similar in outlook. Even though there's that grind that's always gone on because of this race game. But you're always going to get that everywhere. Not everybody's racist, and it does work both sides as well. Some of the Rastafari that I've met in my past, which has a dark side as well as a light side. Let's have it right. Some of them guys just see every white monkey as Babylon. It's Babylon, man. And of course, that's just there. It exists. But the Africans that they're moving in, I mean, they're a different kettle of fish altogether. I mean, they're so still in the dark ages as far as voodoo, black magic, all this stuff, muti, all this stuff is real to them, and it's a part of their life. And black people that have been born in the West, that's they're as far away from that as we are. But having said that, most white people haven't got a clue about this kind of stuff. They've no idea that these cultures that they're bringing in are so ancient in their ways, in the way they look at things, and they're very basic. This very basic animal instinct kind of behaviour, which is exactly what this New World Order requires. Because from the perspective of power, the only thing they're interested in is how well can you be controlled. And of course, you can't control intelligence or, let's say, wisdom, let's say. Because, you can be highly intelligent and be a doctor, for fuck's sake. So you're not that, wisdom going on there. It's just money, innit, But it's essential for this New World Order that this new creed that they're creating has to be thick. It has to have nothing about it, be happy for what it's given, and you couldn't do a better job than that to import people that have been starving, that have been put into militias from being like 10, all of a sudden to come here, free money, free car, free gas, free electric, loads of food, and loads of little white hunky women to abuse as and when they feel safe enough to do so, which will be when all these NATO or UN troops that have been pouring in from Turkey, from Kazakhstan, from Uzbekistan, this is where they're all coming from, and they're all soldiers. They've already been trained as soldiers in their own nations, and they've signed a 2 or 3 year contract with UN to come into here. And it's important that people recognise that can only be enacted on the back of civil unrest. It's all, and you can see with what happened in Southport last year, that anger and hatred it's just simmering. It's simmering there in a lot of people. And as you saw with Southport, it were a practice run to see if they could unleash these guys. But even that, if you were looking at it properly, you could see that within those pre-scripted events, that you had your, what do they call them? Oh, bloody hell. I can't remember the name of it, it's not coming to me. Your, flaming it. The guys that are already set up, either the military or the mercenaries or tied to police intelligence, they're there to flip it. To flip it from just to let's get stuck in. And you could see it with one guy in particular, because you were in a lot of these situations, looked like a Viking kind of guy. And you could see him memoing and signalling to all the coppers, etc., that he were about to kick it off. Agent provocateurs, that's the term I'm looking for. And so last year with the Southport gig, as disgraceful as it was, and was a complete setup. You could see it plain as day. And of course the guy who perpetrated it, being under the influence of intelligence, I know they say they knew about it, but that's because they were controlling him. They would have given him the place to go and the green light to go do it at the exact right time. You're not telling me a young lad like that knew exactly all about this particular place where these kiddies were going to be there on their own. That's not how it works, ladies and gentlemen. That is not how it works. And so you can see from that this hatred is simmering, especially in sort of like the organisations or the people that have always been racially motivated in action against this mass immigration. And then you get Tommy Robinson, who's there to spearhead this. And so you can definitely see this. It's so plain to see that as part of this art of war now, they've weakened the enemy. The enemy doesn't know its arse from its elbow, you know what I mean? They've weakened you biologically with this script that you've just been playing with for the last 5 years. You know, the capacity for people to think just isn't there anymore. If you're watching the television, it's just boom, boom, boom. There's this script, garbage, 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 accept this, accept that, this is that. Every white family's in absolute turmoil. The hospital is the hub of all the soap operas now. The police are in there like some kind of uber power and that everybody should rally around. It's quite ridiculous if you've not really seen that shift, but to come into it cold as I did and just start looking at it and it's like, whoa, hospitals are just the be all now, and what are they actually doing? They're just mass killing everybody, mass injuring everybody, and continuing to service the addiction, which is what it's all about. They are dealers of addiction, all of them. Now you can't be trusting any kind of shop because they've got this stuff in them all. Dentists, anywhere you might go, tetanus, the lot. You really don't want to be having any of that malarkey now whatsoever. So if you've got a bad tooth, you better copy me and pull it out yourself. You don't want to be going in there and getting shot up with that crap, because otherwise, if you've managed to keep off it all, you're just going to screw it up there because you've got a little peggy ache. And these are the things you've got to start to think about now. This is how you do war against war. You don't fall for it. You don't play its game. You always rebuff it. And that doesn't mean you have to get out there and combat. It means you know what they're doing. You don't play the game. You never play the game of your enemy. Unless you've determined you want to do a certain thing, and then that's different. But when you know what the enemy's doing, you know its game, you know it needs you to do this, this and that, you're doing combat by not doing it. You know, people have this idea that combat is just all about getting up there, bum, 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 bum. No, you're in combat if you have an enemy doing war against you, psychologically. Because most of war is 99% psychological, all of it. And then once that's collapsed, that 1% opens up and then all else let loose. And this is exactly what they intend to do through Tommy Robinson. And you're going to have Elon Musk, you've got this damn bonga binga bangano. I mean, I've been watching some, his stuff for some reason keeps coming up everywhere on the old face-ache. And he's about to become, is it, chief of FBI? I mean, he's just so this left-right paradigm, left-right, fixing everybody and keeping everybody fixed to the left-right paradigm. Alex Jones is the supreme prince of it, and all those who are attached to him are doing the same. Fix you to left-right, fix you to what Trump's doing, in opposition to what the left did. It keeps that left-right game going, doesn't it? And like I said before, this last few live streams we've sort of looked at what's actually really going on, and that this Trump being the supreme hero at the moment is what they want you to focus to, so you don't see that. And it's working a treat, but I've had a lot of US sort of interest as well in these last couple of months as well, especially on the Facebook. So perhaps there is a big chunk of Americans that are starting to see, and that they're not just one side opposing the other, that they're actually balanced people that can see that this left-right trickery is a serious trap and the cause of nearly every war you could ever see. It's always two sides, both being manipulated by the same puppet master because they want a certain thing to take place. And really need to understand, folks out there, Tommy Robinson is a serious trap, because you might get excited when you crack on at the beginning, but what will come out of it and down on you, you would wish you hadn't been born. Because again, all of a sudden, like they did when they launched drugs, all the minds, the males that have that little bit more about them, that kept things in order, that weren't police, who weren't the state, you know what I'm saying? They'll scoop the lot of you up like that and put you in these super huge prisons that they've been building for the last few years. And it'll happen so quickly, you will not know what has hit you. So you might get 5 minutes of fame, 5 minutes of getting that aggression out, and blah, and then you're going to be in a cell. This time, I don't think you're going to be up for parole. I don't think you're going to be up for release. There'll be none of this halfway house, open prison stuff. You're not going to be coming out. And it'll be a similar kind of thing to Regulation 18B that were enacted the moment Churchill declared war on Germany. All the psychics, all the journalists, all the people that knew what were going on, that were still on person, were whisked up under Victor Rothschild, incarcerated. And not that many of them came back out after the war. The last thing they want during war is for people to be going to psychics that have lost their loved one, for their loved one to come back and say, it's a fucking scam, no, don't let your kids go, it's garbage. Okay, it's important stuff that people recognise that this system is how they play it. It's exactly how they play it. Tommy Robinson is not the way forward in this game. The way forward is for blacks and whites not to separate, and that the Muslims that have been here and born here and bred here to recognise that actually their religion, like all others, is a control system. And it's a control system that's probably the most overtly aggressive, because it makes its entire balance sheet from the extorting of its community. And if they don't pay, they get ostracised. That's the way it goes. And that's what Muslims know. It's not me making it up. That's what Muslims have told me is the game. So you guys there need to realise that actually, by coming here over the last 70 years, you've been given the opportunity to see what these systems are. And it might be to your advantage at the moment while you're on a climb, but look at what Sir Jimmy Savile's vagina is. Okay, he's a crown puppet. He is operating, as has been going on here for a long time, under the House Palavicini, for the Venetian bankers. And it's a bank. The bankers don't lose anything when they shift banks from one system to another. It's still a bank. The money's still going to them. They still gain the control that's gained through the power of that bank, but more importantly, the emotional, psychological control that the religions thrust out upon you. So that's the way forward. It's not a dividing, it's a coming together in a common wisdom of what is going on. But it's really important that people get what's going on with Tommy Robinson before he gets unleashed. It's so important that people get this. Because I know a lot of you out there, young uns, angry, nothing, you're angry. And Tommy the Tate's the only guy speaking what it is that's correct. Most of what he's saying is correct. They are exacerbating the grooming, because that's a network. And I'm talking about the network that's been set up to oppose it is also a network. Now, I cleared it off here before for the book script, because I could see right through it. I knew what its game was. You know, you don't want that here. You don't want it in your town, because straight away you're giving base to that same system. You've got to see it as the same. If you dislike the grooming gangs, which you do, naturally, then you've got to recognise that that system that's set up to oppose it is the same. It's controlled by the same people, because they're creating this to get a reaction, to create that emotional angst and hatred that they need in order they can get at least 5 to 7% of people acting in unison because they believe what they're doing is correct. That isn't the way it is. It's a stepping stone to unleashing UN troops here. Now, art of war, let's look at art of war again. We have to acknowledge that this is the situation we find ourselves in because we've took our eyes off the ball for over 100 years, let's say since the Second World War, okay? And we've been massaged into this, we'll wipe your ass for you every fucking corner. You don't have to think. We'll take your jobs away, but don't worry, we're going to give you free money, which they're slowly and slowly taking away from you again. They're cutting DWP, but that's only so they can feed more money into this UN affiliated system that they're pushing in. So the art of war. Let's get cracking onto the art of war, shall we? So if you're a male and you're thinking that way because you can feel and see what's happening, you're not wrong to see and feel what's happening because you're seeing and feeling what's happening. You just have to make sure you do not fall for the trap. Because this is what they need. They need that civil unrest tested in Southport to start to change things, okay? They need a war outside of there as well to change things, to get this idea that we should conscript the young white and black males. This is where they're playing. So that's the game. See the game. And make sure you're teaching your offspring and your grandkids and anybody else that wants to listen. Because what they're also doing in sync with this is they're now talking about banning under 16s from social media. Okay, a lot of people might agree with that. However, and this is why they've made sure that they can get older porn and that at this time. Because there is a reasoning to that idea. However, what they want to do now is to make sure that the younger generations do not hear this kind of information. Because in the main, like the brown shirts in Germany, that's the generation they intend to demolish by removing the males, and it's that generation of females they intend to breed with this subcultures coming out from all over the show for this new race. And this is what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. It might be a major affront to your sensibilities. Good. I'm glad. Now, you may have to facing it. Face it. Next move is, well, what the fuck do we do? Well, first off, fuck social media. You make sure it starts to get spoken amongst your own so that your younger generations are aware of it. That's all you need to do, make them aware of it. It'll spread, the seed will spread. But make sure you point out the fact that it's all about ensuring that the females have absolutely no protection. If the females get that, then it'll spread, it'll have meaning, and the game won't work. Now, as for us males out there that are a bit more aware, a bit more, hey-ho, we don't actually give a fuck. And you guys out there that are waiting like that for Tommy the Tit to come out, start to use your brain a little bit here. Don't wait to be told what to do. Think about what you have to do. We've been disarmed as a nation for what, 30, 40 years. And the main reason they've managed to do that is because they've got so many of our male or baby boomers in the Masonic, and they've been allowed to carry on with the shooting, the guns and having that. To them, there's been no change. That's how they've been massaged into being thick. But you and we out here, we've been disarmed. So, art of war. At some point down this line, there is going to be flooded in the streets immigrants with guns. So the way you start to think now is, okay, that's when we get armed. in a day. That's how you think when you're thinking war. No, we're going to do what Tommy says, and we're going to beat people up and make a fuss and throw things around and swear a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's primary school playground stuff, innit? At the end of the day. I'm talking to men now. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you've got to start to focus. Okay, it's going on. I've now woke up to it. I'm aware of how it's playing out. What's the future? Don't fall for these traps. Keep moving forward in your mind. Focus. Don't have to run around spreading it out. You don't have to be telling everybody out there what you're thinking. Like-minded people will start to come together. Always be well aware, if you start a group, Intel will have somebody in there in 10 minutes. This is a psychological war at this stage, and that is, you'll know when you meet people like-minded. You'll have that look about yourselves. You don't have to be best buddies, going out drinking and smoking together, because that gets attention. Just all be aware of who you all are, but look to the future. At some point, in a day, our streets are going to be full of guns, tanks and whatever else the fucking hell they've got planned. That's the day you take it off them and you become armed. That's war. That's how war works. And that's how war works when you're not thinking, oh, who's going to tell me what to do? That's war when you're thinking, I'm a fucking warrior. I'll decide what I'm going to do. I'm not waiting for shag-ass hoity-toity to tell me crap. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you've got to start to think. That's how you've got to move your mind. By accepting what's going on. You don't have to like it. It's just accept it. Don't go, oh, I'm not looking at that. It's not good. I don't like it. I'm not looking at that. Because one day it'll come down on you and you're going to be a pussy. You're going to be useless. So get yourself ready in that sense of the game. But more important, like I said, the main way to block it is instead of us dividing, we start to think the same, come together. And that's black, that's white, and Muslims that have been born here. Because this system, when it kicks in, is against all of us. But in order to get it in, they need this division that they've got at the moment to bring it in. And then everybody's had it. Islam's had it completely when it does what it does, because China has already demarcated it, a mental illness. Again, look further down the line. Look at the way these forces are building the game, because then you can see the strategy. And when you can see the strategy, you can start to see the traps, because they need you to do it, to make their plan ground and materialise. So Americans, I hope you're starting to see that actually, okay, what Trump's doing is fucking good stuff. But look what's going on over here. Because that's where the power is. That's where the power is and what they're doing and setting up here in the background. So keep your eyes on that, ladies and gentlemen, and make sure your offspring and your grandchildren know what the plan is. Why they're going to set this war up. Why they're going to want to conscript you. And especially your daughters and your granddaughters. Why that idea isn't something that girls should be supporting their boyfriend and mates to do, because they're going to be left in a bit of a pickle. So, end of Sunday's sermon. Let's have a little gander who's in, and then we'll have a look at some stuff I've put together tonight. Okay, Pete White says, good evening, all evening, Paul. Benefactor I, Sean, Wiser Sound team, excited for your presentation tonight. Looking forward to the valuable insights you'll share. Evening, Benefactor. Hope your job's going well, mucker. AMG says, evening, Sean, Jane and all non-mutants. Special mention to Lone Rizzler, who's having a rough time at the moment. If you see this, mate, I hope you're back on form. Oh, what's happening to it, lad? Are you doing, Lone Rizzler? What's happening to your son? Let's tell us all about it. You've got a bunch of friends here. You're not on your own, lad. Evening, AMG. Jane says, good evening, Sean, Chatters and Golden Boy. I'm presuming that's AMG. Hope you all had a great week. Well, I hope you all had a great week as well, and hello, Jane. Slipknot says, right, Sean, everyone, evening to you, Slipknot. Upward Dog gives it, Sean and all, I'm looking forward to another Wise Asylum evening. Well, thank you, sir, and good evening to you. AMG is evening to Stumpy, and of course that will be Jane. LFX gives the thumbs up. Tesco, what happened to the 3.5 million? 3.5 million. Pray tell, expand on that, Tesco. Paul says, evening, Sean and fellow mates. Evening, Paul. Jerry says, evening, Sean and mates. Evening, Jerry. Watching evening, Sean and all. Would they be renovating towns ready for the new age, and so it's ready for those that survived the reset? Well, I don't know where it's coming from, but folks are running around with masks on. I had a very strange flu last week. Started last Sunday, I have to say. No, Sunday before. Bit of a weird one. Very weird, actually. I'm alright now. We're alright from about Wednesday this week. Very strange cough. Weird it were. And I think a lot of people have had it. So, where's that coming from? How are they getting that around? Or are they switching up the G? I do wonder. Whatever it is, it's all aiming at the old lungs, isn't it? Agent Provocateur says, Paul, thank you, sir. Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to get out. The masquerade, as in masquerade. Oh, masquerade, interesting, LFX. Slipknot says, the only way to win the game is not to play. It is. It really is. And I'm speaking to you as a fucking expert. Because this is the 33rd year now of me being on this path. And that first 7 years, fuck, did I have to learn. And, you know, what were up against me then, and I still has from a long time, was covens of black magicians. Hiring all sorts of magicians from all over the fucking world to do certain things. And that wasn't an easy game. But what I learned is they can only encourage you to do this, to do that, to think this, to think that, to act in this particular way, to react in this particular way to what they're setting up. Once you start to realise that your way around that is to see it and make sure you don't, then all their efforts come to fuck all. Nothing. And 33 years on now, I'm looking at some of these characters that I know have been playing this game from high up there. Big Masonic, a big fucking Masonic game. They're fucked. They can't understand why it didn't play out how they wanted it to play out. Well, that's because you're not as smart as you think, chaps. And your game's not as powerful as you think either. Unless you can't see past it. So absolutely, Slipknot. Do not fall for the traps. And that goes for all of us. You know, everybody out there. Everybody's being cajoled into this particular game that serves only one lot. And that's the tossers at the top that want to annihilate you. But more importantly, they want to force your kids to breed strangely so that they can nick the offspring. Not interested in the mums and dads that breed them. They're only interested in that to get it going. Once it's done, they're only interested in the offspring. Bring back Biden, wow. Well, none of these puppets. Forever. Ever. You can go back as much of history as you like. Everybody that's up there throwing power about is a puppet. It's always been so. That's how it works. Bring back none of them. The day will have to come when we start to realise that actually nothing's going to change until these people are taken out of the positions. As Cromwell did. Not that I'm a fan of Cromwell, because I know who backed him. But when you look at his strategy and how he played it, it's perfect. And we have exactly the same situation today. Not a councillor, not an MP, not anybody in the game, judiciary, the lot. Well, there might be exceptions. They're all playing into this. You know why? Because they think they're safe. because they don't know the big picture. They're that focused on their own self, they don't see the game. Or they just don't care. AMG says, play the game, but use your own rules. Well, yeah, exactly. You're playing the game, but to your own rules, absolutely, yeah. Not there. Never, ever play to the rules of your enemy. They'll beat you. They'll beat you every time. Tesco says, Tommy Robinson being promoted heavily by Paul Thorpe. No idea who he is. Who's that then, Tesco? Paul Thorpe? What is it? UK? US? Paul Thorpe official. Okay, so we've got some videos there. Nice one, thanks for that, Tesco. June says, good evening, Sean and chat. Evening, June. Me says, anyone heard of my mate Branson Joe Williams? He is on the fucking ball. He's a good one. He is a good one. Yeah, we do, we know him. We know all about him. He explains the meaning of words, think about that. Well, we do a lot of that as well. Jane says, loads of outrage about Tommy's health at the moment. Is he going to be killed off the inside vans? Well, no, they're just building up the emotional, oh, Tommy, we fucking love you, Tommy. It's called the emotional cannon. And the Royals throw them out everywhere when something's going wrong. So you're not looking at that, you're over there. A death. Somebody's like Prince Andrew, thrown to the fucking wolves. You know why? Because it were coming out and I were a part of it, moving information, showing Trump at the art on the plane and young'uns. And his daughter. That's the information that were coming out at that time, and they threw Andy under the bus. And everybody's attention went there. On this script, get this into your mind as well. On a guy who should have known better, having sex with a 17-year-old woman who was paid 15 grand for 3 sessions, 5 grand a session. That's not a victim, that's a prostitute. Not that I've got anything against prostitutes. People miss that. Then the media is using the term paedophile. Well, paedophile is somebody that's attracted to prepubescent children. That got missed. And is a paedophile for banging a 17-year-old. This is what I'm saying. You've got to look at what it is that's being said, not just run off on this stream of emotion. Because that's what they depend on. The minute people stop doing that, you become a problem. Because all of a sudden, the magic spells don't work on you. And that's what were happening then. And I were actually moving the stuff on Twitter and a lot of places. That this were coming out and it were quite solid. There were no bullshit about it. And bang. Andy got thrown to the wolves and no more was said about Donaldo. So, yeah. You know, Elon Musk and all that, giving it the big, well, we released there's nothing different in it. Same stuff. But it's minus quite a lot of stuff. Because they've got Diddy going now as well, so most people are more interested in Diddy. Can you see, it just takes you off the game altogether. And Trump doing everything brilliant in America has just got everybody's attention. And very few people are seeing this game that we've been looking at in the last few live streams. But that's where it's at, ladies and gentlemen. Jane says, loads of out. Oh, yeah. Define your word, says me. What is them? Is it a who or a what? Well, exactly. Who or what? Precisely. And in fact, that's a big part of tomorrow's thing. Who or what are you charging here? Yeah, it is all about the words. And they are word wizards. They've spent their entire life studying dictionaries. And they're always looking for that joinder to their mindset. Yeah, that's how it works. And so you're absolutely right, mate. Not agree, not stupid. The language you're talking in. AMG says, me is chatting to a mirror. Oh, it's shut up. AMG proven troll, true J's. AMG proven troll, true J's. Okay. You're destroying this channel due to lack of knowledge, AMG. What are you doing, you baddon? Floydie. You being naughty? Jane says, Tesco, yeah, no doubt, but I just wonder if all the crap about him living on a tin of tuna makes me think he will not come out of prison. He will not come out of prison. He will be living abroad, but the nation erupts over his passing. That's potentially a strategy, but no prison on the UK feeds the prisoners tuna. Ask any prisoner, ex-prisoner. It doesn't happen. Can you see? It doesn't. It's fantasy, not fact. They do not feed prisoners fucking tin of tuna. Be careful. It's all about pulling out that emotion, getting people excited. Tesco says, Google cannot implement this unless they put it across all their products, meaning Gmail will require ID. Oh, sorry, I've missed some here. Hang on. Banning under 16s requires ID checks. Well, I mean, I've mentioned this because I can see that is a big part of what they need to do, which is, I mean, I know that from my YouTube channel. Last time I put a short up, I can't remember what it was about. Oh, the Queen telling you what she said. I made it, I cited the video made for kids. Fuck me, did the fucking 770 Brigade and 8200, and they didn't know what to do with that. They were fucked because all my videos are not made for kids, so you've got to be 18 to see it. So if any kids were coming onto my channel, they'd have to show that they're 18. And I did that the other week with that one, and well, they just completely and utterly annihilated the whole fucking algorithm and they didn't know what to do. So they implemented new censorship on it. And I watched them do it, and it just makes me chuckle. Because that caused them they will probably spent a lot of money that week. Wondering what to do, had meetings and stuff like that. He's meant for kids, what the fuck? So it is a big part of not having this younger generation that have been programmed to death any insights into what the next strategy is in relation to them. But the way around that is forget this shit. Forget internet. Forget it. Make some leaflets. Throw it into a fucking schoolyard. Before school opens, get a big fucking handful of leaflets saying, don't be encouraged to join military. They want to get the young males off so that you females are left to the... Just do that. Go to the schoolyard before school and throw them all over the fucking yard and then fuck off. And then kids will be like, oh my God, and they'll be passing around fucking every school in Shire in an hour. Use your fucking head. It's easy if you're prepared to do it and not just sit there and do. This is what I used to do back in the day before I got on internet. It caused fucking chaos. What can they do? I weren't breaking any law. Littering, that was the best they could do. But how stupid would they look? They would have just given me more publicity if they'd have accused me of littering. They don't do it. Use your fucking brain, They haven't got all the power. They've got all the power while you are blind to the system, their game. If you want to wake kids up, fucking shitload of leaflets, throw it all over the fucking schoolyard before school and fuck off. And all the kids are going to be, oh my God, what's this? Give them something to be frightened of that's real. It'll bypass all the shit and bollocks that the teachers are shoving down the neck, I can guarantee it. Just do it to fucking laugh. You're not stupid, are you? You know what I'm saying? But like I've always said, it's a big fucking jump from knowing this stuff and acting on it. The jump is massive. And that's courage. That's where courage comes in. That's where courage really is. Not I can smack you in the face 6 times. Because I can fight you. That's not what it is. That's stupid. Courage is knowing the powers that you're going up against and going up against it anyway. That's courage. But you've got to be wise about it. You can't be stupid. You've got to think these things through. You know what I mean? But anyway, there you go. It's easy. It's not hard. There's nothing hard about it. It's only hard because people want it to be hard so they don't have to make that move from talking about it to doing something about it. You know what I mean? Where we go? Ballion, yeah, James says, yeah. Moonlights in a fucking tuna. No prison fucking feeds the fucking prisoners wanting a tuna. Come on, Jane. They don't do that. We're not living in fucking Timbuktu here. It's fucking blighty. They get fed. They get fed and you're paying for it. Is it like 80 grand a year to keep a prisoner? And coming off your tax take? I've been here for many years and see all, says me. Okay, AMG, me, don't get me started. You can't even understand your own pseudonym. Oh, wait. See what I mean, guys? He is a plebe. I don't think he is, mate. He's just a guy who has a crack and keeps crack going on. So I disagree, mate. John Smith says, I wouldn't use Gmail or Hotmail, Microsoft. I just don't care. I really don't give a shit. I know they're watching everything I do, and I just don't give a shit. So fucking what? If you're doing anything important, you'd be an idiot, wouldn't you, if you put it out on anything electronic? If you were having a meeting, you'd be stupid if it were important to take your phone. You'd be stupid not to tell them that we're coming to meet you, not to take the phone. Use your head. Where are we? Benefactor, you have seen it all. Please set up a live stream like Sean and share your knowledge. John Smith says you are not allowed to own a potato gun in Scotland. Well, the Scots have been hammered for fucking way longer than England. And they used football for it, Glasgow Celtic especially. It's like a police state in Scotland, and it's been like that, fucking hell, probably since the Second World War, at 50s at least. And the troubles in Northern Ireland as well. I mean, everything that was going on in Northern Ireland, it seemed they implemented the same thing in Scotland. Why? Because these forces hate the English. Not realising it's not the fucking English that are doing this. It's the fucking intelligence services. It's never been England doing it. England as a nation, English just got on with their own shit. Okay, if you went and joined army, fine, you're playing. If you went and joined police, you're playing. But that goes for anything when your state's been co-opted and took over by this system. You know, but the anger and hatred that's gone on in Northern Ireland and in Scotland, because they were a brotherhood, because the problem started in Northern Ireland when fucking William Orange or even James planted a shitload of fucking Scottish Protestants in Catholic Ireland. What the fuck do you expect? That's why there's an interconnection. But yeah, I mean, they've treated the Scots, the state, the same way as it were in Northern Ireland, and they've got away with it. Because you're not as immensely populated as we are in England. Or was, and now it's all changing again because there's more foreign minds here now, slaves, if you will, slaves to a system, and us whites and us blacks, we still haven't learned to fucking come together properly and realise that actually this is our fucking nation, our freedoms, our way of life that's going to be removed here. Same for Muslims that have been born here. The way you've lived for 70 years is what's under attack. And only until you've done what you've done and the world can see you for what you are, will China be, then it'll be UN Chinese troops and you'll be mopped up in an instant and not a fucking eye will be blinked across the world for what it is this ultimate priesthood has set you up to carry out. Simple as that. You know? So I don't agree AMG is a bad one. AMG is a good one. In my book, me. It just, obviously, you're not having the banter with him. You need to have banter. Don't take everything to heart so much. Because you put up some decent stuff sometimes as well. But AMG there is livening it up, keeping it comedy. You know? It's a good idea that we can laugh at this shit. Otherwise, we'd be crying our eyes out, wouldn't we? Where are we? So you're not allowed to own a potato gun in Scotland. Well, not allowed. What's that? Where's that come from, and why is that embedded in a man's mind? I'm not. And then you say I'm free. Nobody tells me what to do. But just that term, not allowed. What? Who the fuck says? It's like your next door neighbour when you got a funny and says you can't walk up by a street. You do, don't you? You just think, oh, poor lad, he's a dick. Well, that's the same kind of attitude you have to apportion to these powers that be. Oh, bless, fuck off. Who the fuck are you? So, not allowed. That's the prime control mechanism there, me old China. But I get your drift. Johnny says, and what does Spud think of that? Smithing. And he's laughing, he's out, John. Tesco, Jane. Yeah, he will stay overseas. He's never been to prison. No, he's in fucking Tenerife. He's in Tenerife. That's where he lives. Why would you have to live in Tenerife if you were a glory boy for England? Do you know what I'm saying? He's a glory boy for England, but's fucking run off. And it's not for what he's saying per se, it's how he says it. It's the fact that he's known to be operating for one particular group of people. It's because we know he's being funded. It's because we know he's gaining quite a lot of wealth. But he's not telling you that. Because if he tells you that, when he cries his eyes out and says he needs a KC, you'll not throw your money at him. He's embedded with the fucking ultimate purveyors of the legal system. And you're telling me a KC doesn't understand that they can't fucking touch him unless he's on person. Come on. See, if you're learning anything from these live streams, it's about, as well as we look at what they're doing, what you're learning about is yourself. What you can do. Or you're missing 80% of what it is I'm trying to project out there into La Land with my efforts. You know what I mean? DJ from 88. Evening Sean and all the followers. Evening DJ. Inmates. We're inmates, mate. Treen says, evening Sean and all the Wise Asylum members. Evening Treen. And thanks for the old donations there, darling. 300 quid we're at. So we're nearly there. Thanks, Treen. You're a diamond. Jerry says, Lone Rizzler is a good lad. Yeah, he hasn't been on for a bit, has he? I do hope he's alright. John M says, good evening, Sean. Good evening, John M. And welcome. MG, Sean, I managed to stop my youngest son conscripting into the army. He now accuses me of bullying him into missing out on what would have been the best thing in his life, if only he knew the plan. Yeah, and I mean, my kids, my lads, one of them in particular, he were thinking on that way. I said, I'll tell you how it is, sunshine. I said, if you fucking even dream of that, I'll lock you in a cellar, tie it up until you understand the crack. He was like, what? I said, the British Army is a fucking great thing as an institution, organisation, and it's full of English, Scottish, Welsh lads. I said, but the British Army today doesn't operate for what you think it does. I said, it operates for the very bastards that are trying to fuck you. I said, and that's what you need to understand. You don't join something that no longer serves what it is. You're getting that vibe to go and do it. I said, I did it, so you didn't have to. Do you get that? And now, all is good. So I know where you're coming from. You need to get back into him and fully explain to him what you've done and why. Don't just, no. Do you know what I mean? You've got to really get in the mind. It takes some effort sometimes to get a point across to your flea bags. I mean, mine are all fucking older now, you know what I mean? It's more difficult. And in most cases, I don't even bother. You know what I mean? If they haven't learnt anything, having me as the old fella, by now, well, they're fucked. They're never going to learn fuck all, and I'm not going to waste my time. You know what I'm saying? That might sound cruel, some people might think, but no, it's not. You learn in this game, you cannot force anybody to take on what they don't want to take on. So don't try. Because in fact, you're not trying to help, you're doing them injury. Because you're further cementing the stand in their own garbage. But no, you've got to get right into the mind and fully explain and show them why you were saying that. But I get you, AMG. You just need to get stuck in again and make him see the light as to why you've done that with him. And one day he will. Lorraine says, evening, Sean. Where's that gone? Oh, that run off. Oh, like. Oh. My word, that's gone right up. Right, where are we? Evening, Sean, says Lorraine, and all lovely peeps on here. Evening, Lorraine. Mark says, Mark Orford, hey, Mark. Evening, Sean, and all. Tracy says, I came in a bit late, but did folks see the plan to have one of the biggest Chinese embassies in London with over 700 staff? Yeah, because the next raft of UN soldiers is Chinese. Abdul, fucking get a grip what's going down. I know you're thick, but stop being thick. There's no excuse for being thick when you've been born here. It's as simple as that. And I'm trying to help you. You know what I'm saying? Before you do something fucking stupid. Oh, I know, I haven't seen that. 700 staff. Well, there you go. There's the beginnings. LFX Cromwell. John M. The latest weapon used in the Ukraine is the drone. On both sides, the drone operator is regarded as the most valuable asset and viewed like the fighter ace in World War II. Yeah, exactly. Now you can understand why they've had all these kids on fucking PS2 and fucking whatever all these years. They're perfectly ready for it. DJF88 wouldn't surprise me if Wobbly Thompson is sunning it up in Israel. Yeah, very, very possibly. They wouldn't, because he's been caught out a few times in Tenerife. Because there are some Asian Muslim gangsters out there. It's a bit of a hot spot for this kind of stuff over there. And there's a network from Accrington, because a young lad last year ended up getting, well, they don't know how he's dead, let's put it that way. Yeah, so Tenerife is a bit of a hotbed for criminal networks. And of course, a lot of the criminal networks today, in the main, are the travellers and the Muslims. So, you know, don't lose sight of that either. So yeah, it could be in Israel, because they won't want him being catched out again like he keeps getting catched out. I saw a huge ball fall out of the sky at 1 AM Saturday morning. It looked like a small luminous golden moon with no tail. I have seen shooting stars meteorites, was nothing like this, no idea what it was. Could very well be blue beam, Lorraine. LFX, they only play by their rules, only rules, measurements, or lures and slurs. Tesco, MG, more army recruitment commercials popping up, trying to make it look cool for the youth. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. You've got to, if you've studied Germany from 23 to 33, you can see clearly what they're doing and what they've been doing since Tony Blair got in. Same. Brown shirts then, green shirts today. Where are we? Trini says, my pal told me he saw a green moon 2 nights ago. Weird. Some weird things going on at the moment, Trini. Absolutely. Well, don't forget they've got this aliens are coming to get you gig as well. However, a measurement can also be a peer-reviewed example of a measurement or measurement. Okay. Money is a promise to pay. Fuck Tommy is a promise. Of course it's a promise and a fucking bad one. A promise to get you banged up in a fucking instant and fucking UN troops on the ground that are not the same colour as us natives. Yeah, can you dig it? Don't shy away from this reality. It's real. It's fucking real and it's going on right now. Don't get excited, says Lorraine, just observe. We just had a partial eclipse, says Nouveau. Really? Yep. Well, that's a big occult kicker for him, isn't it, to do? So where did you see that, by the way? Where was that visible? Nouveau says, I started doing comedy because my truth vids were getting shadow banned. Well, yeah, a bit of comedy helps, doesn't it? And also it makes people laugh a bit because it can get a bit intense, this stuff. You know? I mean, I'm so fucking used to it. It doesn't bother me at all. It's second nature. But for people that are just opening up to it, it can be quite terrifying, I know. So, and comedy is a great way of going to put it out, which is why we had comedians. Comedians used to say everything that everybody weren't saying, or were saying in private. The comedians would pull it out. It's like a release as well, isn't it? You know, a good comedian can caricature everybody's sort of nonsenses, you know, and that's why they've got rid of comedy. That's why they've censored it so much, because it's a great release, and it's when people are lacking information that you get frustrated, and then you can kick off these violent eruptions. When it's all out in the open, it's free, there's less, you're not all getting excited. So yeah, comedy's a great thing. And a great method and means to get this kind of stuff out, but this is why they've censored it. I knew with Purim Festival, the Purge movies tie in with that. Purim Festival, they celebrate, only happens on a total eclipse. And all the private prisons, yeah. Martin says, John, all internet communications go through Microsoft. I use Wireshark now and again, which shows it to be. Yeah, Wireshark, I've heard about that. I don't allow smartphones in my house. Good gig, but you've got to tell it. Nouveau says, Trina, I will have to look it up. So easy to create your own nation. Oh God, no, we're past that. They're getting rid of nations. That's the whole plan of this third temple. Bringing the nations, 70 nations under the Sanhedrin. So we're a bit bloody late now to start nations, lad. I don't take my mob out. My mobile out if I can help it. I got a Faraday pouch which just seems to block the signal. I don't get any message or anything until I take it out. Good stuff, Treen. Let's make a fuss instead, men. What? Oh, did it again. Where are we? What both people think don't matter, it's what people do. That's exactly right. AMG says, to be fair to Jane, that was history when he had lost a lot of weight and when he supposedly got out of prison last time. He said he'd survived on wanting a tuna a day. Total bollocks, but that's his story, exactly. They just don't do that here, you know. So what are you going to do? Says me. MG says, damn it, he found another mirror. Why not be fair to Jane? You ain't, oh my word. Take it on, chin me, for God's sakes, banter, lad. There's a guy called Rob Braxman on YT who recommended using Google phone, Pine phones. Yeah, Pine phones and all that. We've looked at all that in the past, haven't we, on these? Uses Linux system, but I'm too far analog to even think about the tech. Well, they don't like me using the burner. They make it fucking can't hear anything. They're like little bastards, they are. So I thought, well, okay, if it makes you happy, I'll go back to the other one, but you're not going to fucking find anything I don't want you to hear. So it makes no odds to me. Trolls buy people and try to own them. Stupid people let them. Hope you're good, Jace. A guy who sees Jane Elliott. I don't believe the tuna story. It's all over YT and folks are kicking off about this treatment inside. Emotional canon. Jace is out. Hello, Jace. How's it going, me old China? AMG, me neither. About as believable as me knowing language. Good evening, peoples. Evening, Jace, me old mucker. How you doing? Jerry says, "Hi, Jace, you're big man, blah, blah, blah. Army's controlled by our worst enemy." It is indeed. Exactly. And it's just there to kill you and to maim you and then put you on fucking streets. And then they can come back like they're doing now and go re-recruit you. Oh, you can claim this for white finger. You can claim this for bad hearing. Just gets you back in the fucking loop. And away you go again, they've got you. They've shifted all over you, shut all over you, but you're blaming government. Come on, guys, you're not that thick, are you? My eyes never too far, says Jace. Good stuff. Delusion is rampant everywhere. I know, and it is fucking ridiculous. Where's Jeff Moonpit tonight? Oh, that's a thing. I don't know where he is. Don't know where he's at. He's hiding. I agree, Sean. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. My adult kids still think I'm talking crap. Well, there you go. Jace, you saw HHJ pickle fuck. Lol, that's Brandon top guy. Jay says, you can only help yourself, all else is a waste of time. Plant seeds, that's how I play it. It's been a long tricky road, friends. Jace, oh, you're right, lad. Nouveau says, Chinese warships just circumnavigated Australia. They fucking own a lot of Australia, I'll tell you. They're buying up fucking New Zealand. And Aussies and New Zealanders are selling them. It's like baby boomers sold out our entire corner shop system because they wanted to retire, because they're lazy bastards. Never assume anything. Do not fall into belief about anything is my best lesson. Yeah. We've got loads of Chinese up here. They're all best customers at Ivy Nichols. All international students, load of crowd. Edinburgh is now full of Chinatowns, cafes and supermarkets. However, I play football, Newcastle won the cup. Drones operating the drones, yeah. The English football no longer exists now, it's garbage. Nouveau says, just on sunset on Friday in Brisbane, Australia. Is that where you are, mate? Nice. Tesco, yeah, conditioning mines alongside mass legal immigration. Yeah. Lurky, Lorena, everyone, right. Now then. So where are we? So here we've got Daily Mail, the shock number of Americans who want President Baron Trump and would change the Constitution to elect him. And I'm thinking, really? Is it going down to that? And so I had a look, and sure enough, the shock number of Americans who want President Baron Trump and would change the Constitution to elect him. Trump's... Oh, wait a minute. Getting ahead of myself. Here we go. Oh, you can't really see that. Let me just alter it, because I have it set up for history side of things. But I've been gabbing on a lot as well, so... So basically now, Daily Mail. And this is 11th of March. Shock number of Americans who want President Baron Trump and would change the Constitution to elect him. Trump's tariff whiplash, Trudeau's hears, alright, blah, 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 blah. By Charlie Spearing, senior political reporter at Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump's youngest son, Barron, continues to grow in popularity among Republicans, so much that some of them would consider changing the Constitution to let him run for presidency early. 40% of Republicans would consider changing the Constitution to allow Barron Trump to announce a campaign for president, according to a new Daily Mail Partners poll. Who the fucking hell did they poll? Cornwall? Yeah, fucking... I mean, this is how they set things going when there's nobody gives a flying fuck. And so they're setting it off like that. It's just so ridiculous. So they polled 20 guys in Cornwall. Yeah, alright. And 40% said, yeah! After they'd been given 25 cans of special brew. 38% of Republicans disagreed with the idea and 22% did not voice an opinion when asked. But most Americans remain sharply opposed to the idea, as 42% of all respondents in the poll oppose the idea while just 24% support it. When President Trump leaves office after his second term, Republicans seem interested in his youngest son to be the next member of the family. What the fuck else got to do with family? That's not what America's about. What are you copying fucking Europe now, monarchs? Fuck's sake. Nearly half of Republicans support Donald Trump running for president in the future and 49% favour. What the fucking hell do we know about him? And he's a very odd-looking character. He looks more like a monarch, a British aristocrat than... And look, you're getting the fist, the fucking Stalinist Bolshevik fist that his dad puts up all the fucking time. They're telling you who they are, eh? 22% neither supported or opposed the idea, just 13% of Republicans were opposed to the idea and 15% were unsure. Predictably, a wide majority of Democrats were opposed to the idea, 59% opposing the notion in the poll. So, what's this malarkey then? I mean, come on, Americans overall, however, remain sceptical of the idea, as just 26% of voters support the idea and 38% oppose it. 36% of voters did not, blah, blah, blah. Poll was conducted March the 5th to 7th among a sample of 1,019 registered voters with a 3.4% margin of error. Fuck's sake, 1,000 people. America's got what, 209 million people, for God's sake. What were the old people at Mar-a-Lago? 1,000 people that visited Mar-a-Lago. Come on. What utter shit. Baron Trump is 18 years old and as the age required for Americans to run for president is still 35, he would have to wait 17 years before he could legally run for president. So is that what they're trying to change? For God's sake, I've never heard such nonsense in all my life. He doesn't look anything like Trump. And that knows. It tells me everything, I'm sorry. Let's look at his hands. Can't see his hands. Always look for a simian line when they show you their hands, these leaders. Like Tony Blair had a simian line, where the head and the heart line are together. Massive conflict between the head and the heart. Never the mad psychopaths that they go for. Because they're fruit bats. So I can't see his hand to see, but simian line is something that they really do look for in these people. So that's that load of nonsense. And then find this.
I posted a video a few months ago talking about coincidence. And that is just funny. I find it very interesting. I'm going to play a video. Let me know what you think.
What's a coincidence that you think about a lot?
I don't know what you would consider a lot, but I've thought about this every day for the past 2 years. In 1888, a man named Ingersoll Lockwood wrote a book called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, where a 10-year-old boy named Baron Trump, who has a mentor named Don, who is a rich man who lives on 5th Avenue in New York City, he and Don travel to Russia to find a portal to a magical underground world. The third book in the series is called 1900 or The Last President, where Don runs for president, gets elected. His mentor's name is Pence. There are protests and riots in the streets because he's not a politician. He's a rich man. He fixes the economy, and they mess with the election of 1900. And when he goes to plead his case, he is silenced by the Speaker of the House. There's a lot of coincidences right there. Also, I guess it's a coincidence that Ingersoll Lockwood lived in New York City at the same time as Nikola Tesla, who was working on time travel and teleportation and all sorts of craziness. When Nikola Tesla died in 1943, the FBI gave all of his unfinished research to John Trump, Donald Trump's uncle, who is the longest tenured professor at MIT. He was given, I believe, 38 trunks of information. He only gave 35 back, stating that it was all theoretical. Interesting. I guess it's also a coincidence that IngersollLockwood.com is owned by John McAfee, who tweeted that he had 31 terabytes of information on the government, and if they ever whacked him, he had a dead man. Anyway, John McAfee said that he had 31 terabytes of information on the government that was connected to a dead man switch in his Miami penthouse. Less than 12 hours after he was found dead in his cell in France, a building in Miami just mysteriously just fell down. That's a coincidence, right? I haven't even talked about Back to the Future yet, but John Trump died in 1985, which is the same year as Back to the Future came out. In Back to the Future 3, the Doc writes a letter from 1885 to 1955 to let Marty know where he is in time. Could these books be a message to somebody from 1885 into the future? As long as we're talking about Back to the Future, in the first movie, Marty shows up at the Twin Pine Mall at exactly 1:16 a.m. You turn that upside down, that's 9/11. When he comes back from the past, it is now Lone Pine Mall. Twin Towers, and now we have the One World Trade Center. Coincidence. It's a coincidence. Sure, it's nothing. And yeah, I've spent a little bit of time researching this coincidence, and I still got nothing. I don't know. Time travel, it's like time travel exists now. Like, yep.
Oh, I say. What's going on there then, mother? You know what I mean? It's a bit odd, that, innit? So, this Baron Trumpet, it might be a bit more going on there than even I first thought when I started, when I pulled it in and just thought, we might need to look at this. It's a little bit odd. So, what do you reckon to that, fellas? That was just a bit strange, isn't it, to be honest? Right, so, let's have a look. So I thought I'd put some data together, but first we'll just have a look at. Now this is Europe in 1922. Look at the fucking size that Russia's expanded to. Look at it. It's massive. Now in 1807 or around that time, Napoleon, he was trying to court Russia because he wanted them to join him to attack India. Down the line, and he weren't getting anywhere. And of course, he was really pissed off at Russia because he was saying that Russia's controlled Europe for 50 years. So that's, you're looking at like 1750s. It was known that Russia were controlling Europe. Now, of course, you've got Catherine the Great in at that point. And she operated for the Prussians. You know what I mean? So through Catherine the Great, not only did she take over Russia, Crimea, and everything else, but they were also in full control of Europe. And they put the Hanoverians, another Prussian bunch, on our throne. So this Prussia military system, which is the Knights Templar, Hospitallers, Malta, all these knightly orders as private mercenaries as well, has been in power for a fucking long time. Look at the size of Russia after the Bolshevik Revolution. It's 5 years in. Look at the size of it. Funded from London via Wall Street. And of course we know London's had the Venetians on with the Holy See, Pallavicini, Farnese, or Borgia, which seems to be above the Farnese even. So we're looking Pallavicini, Farnese, Borgia, controlling Blighty since the Tudors got on the throne. Just, you know, it just brings it to home a little bit, doesn't it, when you consider Moscow was a very tiny little part of what is now green. A very tiny little part of it. Up until the Bolsheviks. And look at the fucking size of that. That's big. Yeah, it's very big. Right, now, expansion of the Kievan Rus, 880-1054. The Kievan Rus was founded by Norse Vikings known as the Varangians. They were the Varangian Guard, right, for the Byzantine emperors, who travelled along the river routes of Eastern Europe, blending their Scandinavian roots with the Slavic cultures to establish a powerful medieval state centred in Kiev. Origins and foundations, 880. The traditional founding of the Kievan Rus is often dated around 882 or close to your 880. Starting point, when the Varangian prince Oleg of Novgorod captured Kiev. According to the primary chronicle, a key historical source compiled by the monk Nestor in the early 12th century, Oleg moved his base from Novgorod a northern trading hub, to Kiev, declaring it the mother of Rus cities. This marked the unification of the northern and southern Slavic territories under a single ruler, laying the foundation for the Kievan Rus. The Varangians, led by figures like Oleg and his predecessor Rurik, who founded the Rurikid dynasty, brought organisational skills, trade networks and military prowess, blending these with the local Slavic populations. Early expansion 912 rather. From 880 to Oleg's death in 912, why do I keep saying 19? The Kievan Rus began consolidating control over key trade routes, especially the route from the Varangians to the Greeks, which connected the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea and the Byzantine Empire. Oleg subdued neighbouring East Slavic tribes such as the Drevlians, Severians and Radimichians, extracting tribute and incorporating them into the growing state. His reign also saw military campaigns against the Khazars and a famous expedition against Constantinople, or Byzantium, in 907, resulting in a favourable trade treaty with Byzantine Empire in 911. This early expansion established Kiev as a thriving economic and political hub. Growth under Igor and Olga, 912-964. Oleg's successor Igor, reigned 912 to 945, continued expanding the Rus' influence. Though with mixed success. He maintained pressure on the tribes and launched raids against Byzantium in 941 and 944, securing another trade agreement. However, his reign ended with his murder by the Drevlians during a tribute collection gone wrong. His widow Olga reigned as regent from 945 to 964 for their son Sviatoslav. Consolidated power avenged Igor's death by crushing the Drevlians and centralised authority. Olga's visit to Constantinople in 957 and her conversion to Christianity, though not yet widespread in Rus, laid cultural ground for later developments. And bearing in mind we've got all this going on Blighty with all these Vikings, we're a bit past Alfred, but they've pretty much secured big swathes of Blighty, and of course these guys were operating from for who? I wonder. Anyway. Territorial peak under Sviatoslav, 964-972. Sviatoslav I reigned 964-972. Igor and Olga's son, was a warrior prince whose campaigns significantly expanded the Kievan Rus. He destroyed the Khazar Khaganate in 965 and 969, a major power in the steppe region, gaining control over parts of the Volga trade route. He also campaigned against the Bulgars on the Danube and clashed with Byzantium, briefly occupying territory in the Balkans. While Sviatoslav's conquest stretched the Rus borders, his focus on military campaigns left Kiev vulnerable, and he died in an ambush by the Pechenegs in 972, leading to a period of instability. So you can see why the Khazars hate Ukraine. Golden Age under Vladimir the Great, 980-1015. After a succession struggle, Vladimir I reigned 980-1015. Sviatoslav's son emerged as ruler and ushered in a golden age. He expanded the Rus through military campaigns and diplomacy, subduing tribes like the Vyatichi and the Radimichians and securing the western borders against the Poles. Vladimir's most enduring legacy was his conversion to Christianity in 988, following his baptism and marriage to a Byzantine princess, Anna. He Christianized the Rus, aligning it culturally and politically with Byzantium. This period saw Kiev grow into a major city with monumental architecture like the Church of the Tithes, and the Rus territory stretched from the Baltic to the Black Sea, encompassing modern-day Ukraine, Belarus and parts of Russia. Yaroslav the Wise and peak prosperity, 1019 to 1054. Vladimir's son, Yaroslav the Wise, reigned 1019-1054, brought the Kievan Rus to its cultural and territorial zenith. After another succession war, He solidified control and expanded influence through dynastic marriages, linking the Rus to European royal houses, e.g. his daughter Anna married the King of France. Yaroslav defeated the Pechenegs in 1036. And you've also, remember, later got Rollo, who married the French king's daughter as well. And then we get Normandy, ending their threat, and oversaw the construction of Kiev's St. Sophia Cathedral, a symbol of the state's wealth and sophistication. By 1054, the Kievan Rus spanned the vast area from Novgorod in the north to the Black Sea coast in the south, and from the Carpathians in the west to the upper Volga in the east. And then we get a little bit, let me just pull this in slightly. So this gives us a bit of a 850 to 1054. So there you go, and this is pretty much where Ukraine is, yeah. So you can see from the perspective of these Khazars, who were pretty much thrust east, which is why they're classed as an Asiatic race, they hate the Ukrainians. They hate them with a vengeance. They hate the Poles. They hate everybody. So that I thought might be just a bit of interest. Now, Catherine de Medici sent Jeanne Aldebrecht poisoned gloves. That naughty minx, Catherine de Medici, has long been considered something of a sorceress. Trained in the art of mixing potions, apparently Catherine was more than capable of murder without a hint of remorse. Remembering Camilla is of this line. France viewed her with suspicion, a manipulative foreigner with a passion for the dark arts. One legend of Catherine's skills involves Jeanne d'Albret, the Queen of Navarre. France in the 1500s was a place of constant civil unrest. The ongoing war between the Catholics and Protestants seemed like it would never end. Jeanne d'Albret fiercely defended the Protestant cause in France. She declared it the official religion of her kingdom of Navarre, much to the displeasure of Catherine de Medici, Queen of France and a Catholic. A crypto. In an effort to bring peace, a marriage was arranged between Jeanne d'Albret's son Henry and Catherine's daughter Princess Margaret. What happened next has long baffled historians. 2 months before the strategic wedding was to take place, Jeanne d'Albret suddenly dropped down dead. Many Protestants believe Jeanne's death to be murder. Catherine was the prime suspect. The choice of weapon, a pair of poisoned leather gloves. When Catherine de Medici came to France, she brought with her several trends from her native Florence. This included cooking utensils and techniques, Italian architecture, beauty rituals and perfumes. Catherine brought with her René Le Florentin, her own personal perfumier, and a vast collection of custom-made perfumes. Well, of course, these people are merchants. Catherine made wearing perfume gloves or sweat gloves popular at the French court. Men and women wore them as ultimate status symbol. Sweet gloves were the most commonly beautifully scented, with herbs, spices, woods and flowers, such as jasmine, violet, iris and orange blossom. Even though the enmity between the two women was well known throughout France, legend says that Catherine de Medici sent a pair of sweet gloves to Jeanne d'Albret, the mother of her daughter's fiancé. It would have been rude not to. Catherine was just being polite. Shortly after wearing the gloves, Jeanne d'Albret died. Was the royal gift laced with poison as well as scent? The answer to this question came far too late to save Catherine de Medici's reputation. The theory of Jeanne d'Albret's death by poisoned gloves has since been discredited by modern historians. They consider it much more likely, of course, so they haven't got a fucking clue, that Jeanne d'Albret succumbed to tuberculosis. I think they'd have fucking known if she had tuberculosis, for God's sake. However, it seems that they were more willing to believe a rumour about gloves infused with a deadly poison than we are to accept the mundane reality of tuberculosis. Well, I'm pretty sure if she had it, they would have mentioned it in the bloody scribbles, wouldn't they? So I'm not having that. And of course, the Medici are on the rise, aren't they? thanks to Camilla and the majority of the fucking English aristocracy. And there she is, not the most gorgeous of wenches, in all her glory. And the source for that is Atlas Obscura Julia Davis, 2016. Medieval languages in England. In the modern world, languages only change gradually. Pick up a book in your national tongue from a century before you were born, and you will have little or no difficulty reading it, even if it sounds old-fashioned. Things are quite different in the 14th century. Whole sections of society are giving up speaking one language, which was French, and starting to speak another, which was English. This is extraordinary in itself, but even more surprisingly, it is not those at the bottom of the social spectrum who are relinquishing their native language, but those at the top. Although the aristocracy of England have been French speakers since the arrival of the Normans in 1066, and even though Robert of Gloucester noted as recently as the late 13th century that unless a man knows French, people think little of him. Linguistically, everything changes over the course of the 14th century, that's the 1300s. Why is this? The simple answer is that Robert of Gloucester's dictum that only French speakers command respect becomes obsolete. In 1300, it is true. If you cannot speak French, you cannot command much respect outside your local community. The king speaks French, and so do his lords, knights, clerks, chaplains, and servants. All the official class speak French. Very few high-ranking members of society are fluent in English. Nobody commissions any literature in English, and what little English verse is written almost entirely takes the form of protest poetry directed against the clergy and nobility, or is religious in purpose. But by 1350, noblemen are increasingly having their sons taught English. The change is largely due to the nationalist outlook of King Edward III. I like King Eddie. I like Eddie I and Edward III. So this is a guy that gave you chivalry and all the hoity-toity stuff. But I like the two Edwards. What happened to the rest of them after, I don't know. Maybe Edward VII could have had something going about him, but I don't know. Who speaks English, expresses a pride in the language, and even has his own mottos emblazoned in it. In 1362, he decrees that pleas in court can be made in the English language. Before then, you could only plead in French. And in so doing, he publicly declares his support for English as the tongue of the nation. In that same year, his Chancellor opens Parliament with a speech in English. By the end of the century, most aristocrats and prelates speak English as well as French. Edward III's own son has many books in English, including one of the earliest translations of the Bible. So this is 1300s, folks. And his grandson, Edward of York, translated Gaston Phoebus's famous book on hunting into English. When Henry IV claims the throne in 1399, he does so in English, in Parliament in front of all the lords and bishops. Later, Henry writes to his Chancellor, the Archbishop of Canterbury, in English, and even in 1409, he even writes his will in English. These two men, Edward III and Henry IV, do more than any other lords before them to make English the language of the official classes, reversing the disdain with which the court had viewed it for the previous 300 years. Of course, there are exceptions. You will come across a number of people, even in the 1390s, whose English is not fluent. A number of old-fashioned knights and ladies cannot be bothered to learn a new language, preferring to stick to their Anglo-French, which remains the dominant language at court. In Cornwall, the majority of the population do not speak English or French, maintaining their ancient Celtic tongue, or Cornish. Obviously, if you stay over the border into the Principality of Wales, you will come across communities where only Welsh is spoken. Even in England itself, the language is remarkable for the range and variety of its many accents and dialects. A man from Northumberland has great difficulty understanding a man from Devon. It is not unknown for some southern English speakers to mistake the language of their northern cousins for French. So strange do their accents sound when travelling to South Coast ports. Geography and social class are not the only factors governing the choice of language. Very often you will find clerks writing in a different tongue to the one they speak. English itself is rarely written down. If you do give evidence in English court after 1362, what you say will be translated and written down in Latin. Financial accounts, similarly, are written in the Code Latin of the Exchequer. Speaking in one language and writing in another sounds frighteningly complicated, but in fact it does have some advantages. As Anglo-French is spoken by many of the official classes, it acts as a standard means of communication across the whole country. Similarly, French provides English administrators with an easy means to communicate with the men of Gascony. Latin has an even more valuable role, for it employs standardised spelling. There is no such thing as standardised spelling in French, nor in English, which still employs two Saxon letters not in the modern alphabet: yog, written as 3 and pronounced g, and thorn, written as p and pronounced the. Although few people habitually use Latin in conversation, it is very convenient to have a standardised means of communication which extends across the whole of Christendom, from the Canary Islands to Lithuania and from Iceland to Jerusalem. If you find yourself speaking English with the locals, do not be surprised if their language gets a little rough around the edges. Just as 14th century place names are direct descriptions of localities, for instance, Shiprock Street and Pissin Alley, so daily speech is equally straightforward and ribald. In telling his Canterbury tales, Chaucer describes how one ardent lover pursued the married woman who he fancied and caught her by the cunt. At another point in the same work, Chaucer has his horse declare to him, "Your shithouse rhyming isn't worth a turd." Daily language is direct and to the point. So if someone slaps you on the back in a hearty way and exclaims your breeches and your very balls be blessed, do not take it amiss. It is a compliment. And the source of that is The Time Traveller's Guide to Medieval England, a book by Ian Mortimer. And when I grew up, the dialects here were so strong, it was unbelievable. Yorkshire seems to have kept its dialect quite strong, but Lancashire seems to have lost it. I couldn't understand a bloody word thousands used to say when I was a kid here. That's better there than us and than us. And you're like, what? What are you talking about, you God, you? Now, John Dee, the man who's said to have created a ritual that spawned the British Empire. From time to time, the Tudors even sought advice in actual mirrors. One of the most fascinating examples to survive is the spirit mirror that was owned by the English magician, astrologer and mathematician John Dee, 1527 to 1608, now in the collections of the British Museum. Dee's mirror had its own deep history from which he drew power. The size of a small plate, it is made of obsidian or volcanic glass and was brought to Europe at some point between 1527 and 1530. It came from Mexico, where such mirrors were used by Aztec priests to conjure visions and make prophecies, and was brought back to Europe by the Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortes, who subjugated Mexico between 1519 and 1521. So as they were robbing the living daylights out of the Spanish galleons in order to build the British Empire, what kind of entities were encouraging the British Empire to be birthed? Aztecs? Come on, you know what I'm saying? You keep bringing all these occult items from across the world and you're filling your fucking nation with demonic stuff. Unreal. Dee held seances in both England and continental Europe, and part of his process involved consulting his mirror spirit, or his spirit mirror rather, summoning angels into its reflective surface and conversing with them about the natural and supernatural worlds. Dee called these angels his schoolmasters, and because of what they taught him. A great deal of information survives about these seances, and we know that these angels were rather splendid. On one occasion, a male angel appeared in the mirror dressed in a long purple robe, with a triple crown on his head and a red rod in his hand, and made the earth shake. Soon after, Dee saw 7 angels holding aloft a 7-pointed star made of copper, one of whom revealed feathers and a golden girdle beneath his robe. Dee is believed to have been the inspiration behind Shakespeare's Magus Prospero, in The Tempest, 1610-11, whose character reveals an interesting contemporary concern over the use and abuse of magical powers. It's easy to see why he might have been the muse. On one occasion, Dee, who at the time was feeling some financial pressure from his creditors, asked an angel in his mirror for help finding hidden treasure. And the source of that is Histories of the Unexpected, The Tudors, Daybell, James Willis Sam. And there is the mirror. And there's John Dee. And there's Elizabeth I. Now, this is another bit of an interesting. 2 years after issuing the Magna Carta, another piece of landmark legislation that curbed the monarchy's power received royal approval, the Charter of the Forest. Since the Norman conquest of 1066, England's kings have been able to seize swathes of forests and turn them into their own personal hunting grounds, or royal forests, off limits to all except them, which is what they've done at the Trough of Bowland, when the Duke of Westminster nicked it and basically turned it into a bird shoot, nicked all the land, and then the Glorious 12th, it's full of fucking SAS and private police and that. Because that used to be our racetrack when we were young'uns, Trough of Bowland. This was not limited to actual forests, fields, marshes and rural areas, and sometimes even villages would be claimed as royal forests. This caused a two-factor issue, angering the barons who were unable to develop land without the king's consent, and depriving the locals of the ability to provide firewood and build their huts, gathering water from the streams, foraging for vegetables, fruits and nuts, and hunting. The Charter contained 17 clauses, all centred around issues with the royal forests. One of the most drastic clauses were that all royal forests claimed by Henry II, King John and Richard the Tossbag that were not legally a part of their estates would be reinstated as common land meant for the use of the community. So everything the Angevins nicked were put back together with this charter, which actually came out of the Magna Carta. The charter allowed every free man to gather firewood there and was entitled to conduct his pigs through or wood freely and without impediment. Moreover, every person that resided in the forest was allowed to make in his wood or in land he has in a forest a mill, a preserve, a pond, a marl pit, a ditch or arable outside the covert in arable land, on condition that it does not harm any neighbour. The charter was momentous for the time. It took power out of the hands of the monarch and for the first time guaranteed the rights of the common people. And this is what the farmers are doing at the moment I don't like, where they're putting sheep next to public rights of way and then screaming at the public for having the dogs off the lead. Now, I had a bit of a spat the other week with a couple of farmers here who decided to try and scare people by showing a quad with a fucking shotgun on. And somebody had said, like, oh, you want to keep going, go up there, you fucking shoot you. So I just put underneath, like, if you shoot my dog for your profit, I'll fucking stick that gun up your ass, basically. And then I gave him the opportunity to explain that we don't really want to be putting these farmers on too high a pedestal. They're not that fucking bright. They're the ones that have been feeding your fucking cattle horse shit and piss, human shit, injecting them for everything because they've contracted with DEFRA, and did it so that they could have free fucking money. They're not exactly on your fucking side. Now, I'm not poo-pooing farmers because we do need them, but the power that they're trying to take, in line with a lot of horsey people who seem to be thinking wherever they take the fucking horses they now own, and people on the bikes have got to fucking know that, they're starting to take command of the land again on behalf of these hoity-toity Medici aristocracy. You've got to keep that in mind as well, folks. The more famous Magna Carta, the Great Charter, called the Charter of Liberties at the time, had originally had 4 clauses relating to royal forests. In 1217, the King, Henry III, issued a fresh version removing the clauses pertaining to the forest from the original document, expanded upon them, and putting them into a new charter, the Charter of the Forest. So that's Henry III. At the time, his new charter was considered just as important as its more illustrious relative, the Magna Carta. So the Plantagenets were a good bunch, in essence, once you got rid of that psycho bitch, Eleanor of Aquitaine, and her weak husband, Henry II. It started to get all right up to Henry III. And then, of course, you've got the Holy See coming in, changing that, putting in all the cryptos. The Charter of the Forest holds a record of being the longest standing statute in England's history, being repealed in 1971. You can't repeal a fucking common law charter. Okay, so it hasn't been repealed, but what they've done on the back of that is stolen the land in the National Trust. All these trusts. Yeah? This is how these fuckers have done it. And now you can see some of these farmers trying to fucking tell the public what they can do. Well, fuck you, I say. You shoot my dog, I will hunt you down, and you'll pay for it. That's all I'm going to say to you, farmers. Because what you're doing isn't correct. Alright? So don't start bullying the public just because you've got a fucking shotgun. Alright? And the source for that is the Charter of the Forest, Your Guide to the 13th Century Law, Rhiannon Davis for History Extra. There you go. Now I just added... Oh, that was just to show you the size of Russia again. Oh, is it? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one, 1922. So that's the one I showed you at the beginning. And then just reiterate, Napoleon in the early 1800s declared that he had issue with the fact Russia had controlled Europe for the last 50 years. Yeah, so from mid-1700s, this is Prussia. This has to be seen as a direct consequence of the power pulled into Russia by the Prussian front, Catherine the Great. Under Stalin, Mongolia was reformed under the mantle of the Bolsheviks. This suggests that under Catherine the Great, the Holy See and its Prussian war machine had yoked the entire landmass beyond Moscow to the east under the control of the banking elite, to be used in the takeover of the entire West. So Stalin was doing a lot of very nasty stuff on the other side of the curtain that doesn't get much of an airing, really, because most people are not really, have no idea or even interested in what's actually going on there. Well, now we need to be, because we can see that they're moving everything centralised into Kazakhstan and that area. And that's the centre for the New World Order. As a front, the real power will be wherever the Jerusalem and Sanhedrin is going to be. My guess, it's going to be right slap bang back in Khazaria. Okay, so just some interesting data, historical context, I suppose, for the, and because obviously I don't want to be thinking too much, because tomorrow morning is the third hearing in this gig about council tax and how such a load of baloney, the way in which these games are played against you. Now, I'll have to say, we have formulated an excellent gig, I have to say. Slick's given us his skeletal argument, all case law. There's some case law on there on the act of silence not being binding to a conditional acceptance, coming out of a brand new raft of law books that I can't access. 35th edition. Just come out. Can't get in it. Can't see the case law. Interesting. If I want to buy it, I think it's something like 15 grand for the fucking set. So these Johnny-come-latelys are now using another set, which seems to be groupings of case law, which of course is judge law. It's not English, it's not law, it's English law, but it's not common law, it's not the law of the land. So I'm quite happy with what we've pulled together here. Now, providing we can present it in the correct manner, should get very interesting tomorrow. So wish us luck on that. We're all ready. We're all geared up and ready to go. And so that'll be a 12-month gig, hopefully, concluding tomorrow. I mean, in essence, it has to conclude tomorrow, to be honest. It has to do. And we've endorsed the actual bills as well beforehand, so interesting. I'll send more, but now it is in the public. I've made this part into the public because we want to quote a record. Private before, not anymore. They didn't take us up on that. Now we want it on public record, and it's as simple as that. So, fingers crossed for tomorrow. And yeah, so next week, I should have quite a bit to report, one way or another. So where would we leave off? There we go. Where's Jeff tonight, he says. He's there, I've heard. I think he's lurking. It's Jeff's turn to lurk. Never too fast. She says, Jace. It's been a long, tricky road. Never assume anything yet. We've done that. Drones operating drones. Yeah, we've gone a bit further on than this. I want to make a vid explaining some key stuff, but some is still ongoing, says Jace. Alright, Jace. That would be great. Well, you're more than welcome to express it on here, my old China. I mean, I can even gig you up, activate your camera, and come on here and we can do a gig, if you want. We can test it that way. In fact, that might not be a bad idea. You can join me on here, and we can test it. How about that? You're not sure you need the attention just yet? Well, put a mask on. You can be Mickey Mouse if you want, or something like that. Anyway, the option's there. Prince of Wales carrier is going on tour of Asia and China. Oh, is it, by golly? Hey up, Moo. The first alliance poor, says Tesco. Jerry says the Bolshevik poor. Some of it's kind of sensitive to certain parties, says Jace. Make that all of it. Oh, you being a naughty boy. Lorraine says, to you could wear a mask, Jace, to avoid the attention. Oh, look at that! You might think you like it. Tree says, I'm you. Oh my god, Lorraine, Tree, did you manage to get an hotel? Tree, Nouveau says, gotta go pick up a son from his mum's place and take him to school. Keep up the good fight. Thanks, Nouveau, and till the next time. Nephilim nepotism, says LFX. Normie sold out at Pennine. Okay, so they can't get all this now to get to go up mod down under. Join us. Good. Even me, but I'll find something you buy. 6 foot tall and full of muscle, says Jerry. And effects inside hens, coincidence, inside job. Hi Mark, hi Jerry, hi Paul. Did you not get hotel room for the 4th? Alright, you're just chit chatting, okay. Yeah, I will have to go to Scotland, I know. It's been so busy this year, it's been demented. I mean, the entire focus really has been on this case. I'm surprised I've even been able to do live streams. It's been that. Trees buffering as usual. Didn't Russia own California back in the day? I think it did. Oh no, would it not? Alaska. Well, there were a few things sold to American Republic. Because everybody hated the Holy See. A banknote, not an order, is a promise to pay on PayPal quo. To any other promise to pay more is like a bill of exchange. Get paid to get free car or house for a promise. Yeah. A sovereign nation refers to a country that is independent and not under the authority of any other country, possessing supreme authority over its territory and people. Where is your head at? I have no reason to lie on why I said easy to start your own nation. Well, you can. Yeah, no, what I'm saying is that in the big battle out there, what they're actually doing is getting rid of the nations and pulling it under the... See, it's the Judahites pulling in the Israelites in the fable. And it seems to be working. Maybe I stopped it. This isn't your experience. All right. come on, mate. He's not a troll. He's a lad. He's one of the lads. Sonia Poulton is more your thing. I don't know who that is. Jane says, me, did you get an invite to go on Sonia Poulton's show? I'd love to watch that. I was here well before you, and this is Sean's show, not yours. Oh, God, come on, guys. Yeah, people, well, no one has, right, it was my idea to help Sean. No one has, I'm up the back, no one's buying anyone, just helping a friend. What have I missed? I missed something. Magna Carta is something people should uphold, or is it just another barrier to control people? No, it is actually law of the land. It's common law. It's not law that has any tie to Parliament. All they keep doing is pulling in mimics of it into parliamentary control that they can then alter, change, amend, repeal, blah, blah, blah. Magna Carta is in force. It hasn't been repealed. They celebrated its 800 years in 2015. So yeah, it's still there. It's still there. And according to the laws of occupation, the inhabitants have the right to their expected gig. It's just that people don't know what that is anymore. So it's been going on a long time. Not even talk. Or would you behave yourselves? AMG is not a troll. Or if he is, he's never trolled yet. And I don't mind, I like the guy. So let's behave ourselves, all of us. We are all allowed our opinions in the Wise Asylum. And we are all capable of allowing ourselves to be mocked. Are we not? Come on. Yeah, you laugh. Smile. Let's have some crack. That's got to be good. Here we go. June Gower. Good luck tomorrow, Sean. Thanks, June. All the best. Thanks, Treen. Thanks, MG. Fingers crossed tomorrow, Sean. Thanks, Lorraine. Jane says, good luck, Sean. Thank you. Dave Gregg. Think positive, Sean. Good luck. Thanks, David. PR Music. Let's calm down. Thank you. Cheers, Paul. I'll send a message out in the ether and you'll message tomorrow. Thank you very much, Treen. I can send Sean 10,000, can you? Well, send it then, mate. 20 is an insult. It's never an insult, isn't £20. £10 isn't an insult. £5 isn't an insult. £1 isn't an insult. Come on, fellas. Everybody is struggling. Nobody expects anything of anybody. But if you fancy sharing, you want to share, it's well received. And what I've said will be done, will be done. Right, you bad uns. Where's Davina with the laundry shop? I don't know. Where is she? Davina? She might have allowed me. She's finished with me. She's bloody finished with me. I don't know already. Right, you bad uns. I'm going to try and get an early night, which is impossible because I can't just make myself go to sleep. And just make sure I'm ready for morning like I've done us. I am just making a point for the metaphor. Come on, mate. Get to 10 grand over, lad. And then so next week I'll go, me's better than you. And with that lot of bollocks, stop falling out, stop fighting, have a good week. Where are we? Where is it? Oh, I've lost it. I found it. Till the next time.
electronic engineering.